I won't tell you my name, what I do for a living, or any of those details. None of that matters. All that matters is what I lived through just 2 days ago. We weren't rich, but we got by. My husband used to drink badly. That's part of why I'm telling this story. Until recently, we were just an ordinary family. Everything changed after his mother passed away. I don't know if that's what triggered it, but shortly after her death, Sergei started drinking heavily. I never understood why. I live with my daughter, Marina. She's 8. One evening, I came home from work utterly exhausted. Marina was at the kitchen table doing her homework. Same as always. I dropped my bag in the hallway, changed out of my work clothes, and headed to the kitchen to reheat yesterday's soup. I was starving. Just a few minutes after eating, I heard a strange knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. It was only 8 o'clock. Maybe a neighbor? I peered through the peephole. Nothing. Just the empty stairwell and that flickering bulb in the hallway that no one ever bothers to replace. God, what a dump I live in. Why was I born in this God-forsaken place? My mood was already terrible. I shuffled into the living room to watch TV, but before I could even grab the remote, there was another knock. I checked the peephole again. Still no one. I opened the door and stared out at the landing. Nothing. What the hell is this? I muttered. Am I losing it? I went back inside, lay down on the couch, turned on the TV, and tried to lose myself in some mindless show. But 15 minutes later, knock, knock again. Marina, go see who's at the door, I called out. She came into the room, wide-eyed. Mom, no one's there. I sighed. Yeah, right. Probably just my imagination after working double shifts. I hugged her close, wrapped her in a blanket, and we sat together watching TV. About an hour later, I tucked her into bed, read her a quick fairy tale, and lay down beside her. I didn't sleep long. A loud slam jolted me awake, like someone had thrown the front door open. At first, I thought it was Sergei coming home late from work. He used to do that. But then it hit me. Sergei's dead. He died months ago. So, who just slammed that door? I threw on my robe and rushed into the hallway. The front door stood wide open. I always lock it at night. Both locks. Every single time. But now it wasn't just unlocked. It was flung open. A cold dread crept over my skin like icy needles. I locked it again, tucked Marina back in, and lay beside her, wide awake for the rest of the night. I'm not superstitious. I don't believe in God, the devil, ghosts, None of it. But this felt wrong. I finally dozed off around 7 in the morning. It was Saturday, so Marina didn't have school, and I didn't have to work. Still, I woke up early, feeling like I'd spent the night hauling freight cars, exhausted but unable to sleep. I dragged myself to the kitchen to make breakfast. That's when I saw it, a cup sitting on the table. So what, you might say? It's just a cup. But it wasn't just any cup. It was Sergei's, the one he used every morning. And I'd thrown out everything of his after he died. Every shirt, every photo, every trace. I wanted a clean start. So how the hell did this end up on my table? My whole body broke out in goosebumps. I lit a cigarette, sat down, and tried to think. But my mind kept spinning in useless, paranoid circles. I only snapped out of it when the burning ember of my cigarette scorched my finger. Without a word, I grabbed the cup and tossed it in the trash. Then I made breakfast. The rest of the day passed in a blur of chores, cleaning, laundry, cooking. Marina played outside most of the afternoon. We ate dinner together, and I let her watch YouTube while I collapsed onto the couch. I must have dozed off around 8 or 9. I woke up an hour or so later, parched. I went to the kitchen for water. Marina was still glued to her phone and filled a cup. After a couple of sips, I froze. It was that same damn cup. What the hell is going on? I whispered. This isn't funny anymore. A chilling thought slithered into my mind. Either something unnatural was happening in this apartment, or I was losing my mind. I put Marina to bed, then sat alone in my room, my thoughts racing. First the door, now the cup. It made no sense. I checked my temperature normal. No fever. But sleep wouldn't come easily. Surprisingly, I slept well that night. No disturbances, no knocks, no open doors. Until morning. I woke to find the front door wide open again. And it wasn't just the door. Sergei's things were reappearing all over the apartment. His sneakers on the shoe rack, his jacket hanging in the closet, that cursed cup back on the kitchen table. What kind of sick joke is this? I muttered. This isn't funny at all. That evening, Marina spiked a high fever 39 degrees C. She turned ghostly pale, refused to eat, and looked as sick as I felt. Something unnatural was in this place. I called an ambulance, and we spent the night in the hospital. The next morning, the doctor said she was perfectly fine. No infection, no symptoms. You can take her home, he said. Relieved, I packed up and headed back. On the way, I passed a small church near our building. I'd never been religious, but after everything that happened, I stepped inside. I spoke to the priest and told him everything. The door, the cup, the fever, the feeling of being watched. He listened quietly, then agreed to come bless our apartment that very day. When we got home, everything seemed normal at first. But the moment I crossed the threshold, that familiar dread returned, stronger than before. And I had a terrible feeling about the coming night. As I was leaving the building to buy groceries, I ran into our downstairs neighbor, Yelena Nikolaevna, a kind, elderly woman who lived alone. "Svetlana," she said softly, "I know you've got a child and all, but could you please stop walking around at night? The ceiling's so thin I hear every step. I haven't slept in days." "But we weren't even home last night," I said, stunned. "We were at the hospital." She gave me a strange look, like she knew something she wouldn't say, then turned and walked away. That's when it hit me. She heard it too. Footsteps. Running. But no one was there. Back at the hospital, I confirmed Marina was fine, and we headed home. But as our building came into view, my stomach twisted again. I remembered the priest. I rushed back to the church and begged him to come now, not tomorrow. He agreed. Minutes later, the three of us, me, Marina, and the priest, walked up to our apartment. The moment he stepped inside, his expression changed. He quickly pulled out his prayer book, sprinkled holy water, murmured a blessing, and left almost immediately. His final words chilled me to the bone. "Leave this place. Now. What's here isn't your husband visiting you. It's something else, something dark. It feeds on your fear, your energy, your will to live. I've done what I can, but it won't be enough. Go. Don't come back." I locked the door behind him, lit another cigarette, and sank into a chair, hands gripping my head. What the hell was that? Then it clicked. The exhaustion, the fear, the way my strength drained day by day. It wasn't grief. It was being consumed. We had nowhere to go. No family, no money, nowhere to run. But staying wasn't an option. That night, I made dinner, put Marina to bed, and unfolded the couch for myself. I fell asleep almost instantly. At 2 a.m., Marina woke me. She'd gotten up to use the bathroom, and then she whispered, "Mom, who was sleeping next to you? I heard someone talking in your sleep, like they were right beside you." My blood turned to ice. I sat up slowly. In the dim light, I glanced at the small mirror on the nightstand and saw it. A figure lay beside me under the covers. Pale, almost white skin. Hollow, colorless eyes. A mouth like a black void. It was wrapped in my blanket, as if it belonged there. Panic seized me. I crept out of bed, grabbed Marina, and slipped out of the apartment as quietly as I could. The thing didn't move. Maybe it let us go. I don't know. We stepped outside into the freezing night, and that's when I saw it. From the kitchen window of our apartment, that pale face stared down at us, watching, waiting. I ran to Yelena Nikolaevna's door and knocked until she answered. I told her everything. Being a devout woman, she believed me and took us in without hesitation. We never went back. I sold the apartment, started over. Life with Yelena was quiet. Marina returned to school. I got a new job. For a while, everything felt normal. Until last night. I was just drifting off to sleep when I heard it again. A knock at the door, followed by a loud, echoing slam.